Ma'am, shall we start the session, ma'am?
Yeah, sure, Walter, sure.
A very good morning to all the participants. I welcome you all for this online lecture on Japanese, the challenging yet rewarding Asian experience. The reason why we wanted to have such a lecture was because we have a lot of students, learners who have a fear of learning Japanese. They generally opt for other foreign languages like French, German, and Spanish, and they have a lot of they don't know about the benefits of learning the Japanese language. They are not aware of the career opportunities which are there in the market today. So that is why we have organized this online lecture. So I hope that all of you will get some information from this. And at this juncture, I would like to request our head of the Department of English and Foreign Languages, SRM Institute of Science and Technology, Ramapuram, to give the welcome address.
Happy morning to all the attendees. As the head of the Department of English and Other Foreign Languages of SRM Ramapuram, I welcome you all to the webinar on Japanese challenging yet rewarding Asian experience. I'm sure all of you know that SRM Ramapuram is always vibrant with a number of activities happening throughout the year. And in keeping with this tradition, we would like to keep the student and the teaching community in touch with one another, even during the lockdown because of COVID-19. So, in this connection, we roll out the first webinar today, spearheaded by the resource person, Mrs. Uma Balu, founder, Sahara Asia, which offers professional language and culture services. She's a very experienced trainer in Japanese, and on behalf of all of you, I heartily welcome Mrs. Uma Balu and thank her for having accepted our invitation to deliver this need of the hour webinar on Japanese. I also thank her for being patient and waiting for all the attendees to join in. Over to Walter.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I request Ms. Bharati, Assistant Professor, Department of EFL, to deliver the introductory address.
Thank you, Walter. Good morning. The topic of today's online lecture is Japanese, a challenging yet rewarding Asian experience. The lecture will focus on the learning of Japanese as a foreign language in comparison to learning Indian or other foreign languages and its importance in the modern world. We are also going to have an overview of different levels of Japanese and how to learn them to pursue the several career opportunities available in the market today. The objective of this lecture is to expose more people, teaching and non-teaching professionals, to the Japanese language and to dispel the myth, feeling or belief that Japanese is not an easy language to learn and that it offers no career opportunities anywhere else but in Japan. Learning a foreign language like Japanese may be both time-consuming and challenging. Recent scientific research on the brain suggests that learning a foreign language enhances the learner's intellectuality. It also increases mental focus, reading and writing abilities, and even improves mathematical skills. It also sharpens our critical thinking and broadens our perspective about the world. Learning a foreign language will open up our minds to new cultures and new ways of thinking. It also gives us a chance to know foreign cultures and develop deeper respect for the multifaceted world we live in. So, the benefits of learning a foreign language, especially Japanese, which is the ninth spoken language in the world, can be shared only by a person who has really lived it and experienced it on a day to day basis. The lecture will be delivered by our guest speaker, Mrs. Uma Balu. Mrs. Uma Balu is a Japanese language expert and trainer. She is the entrepreneur, founder of Sahara Asia, and the director secretary Bodhidharma Dojo Foundation. She has also worked in Daimler India and L&T Infotech. Among her roles and responsibilities, Mrs. Uma Balu has designed language programs for corporate groups and has done interpretation at the Indo-Japan Center. Furthermore, she has also translated the book Chinese classic Dreams of Red Mansions into Tamil and received an award in 2016 from the Tamil Nadu government. Among her other achievements, she has received a Best Translator Award for Sri Lankan Tamil. I would now like to hand over the session to our guest speaker, Mrs. Uma Balu, for her to share her expertise and experience with us. Thank you.
Thank you, Bharati. Uma-san,
Yes.
over to you, ma'am.
Yeah. Konnichiwa. I extend a very hearty and warm welcome to everyone who has joined us for the meeting. And I'm sure this is going to be a very enriching experience for you, especially for those who do not know anything about Japanese. Let us try to give you a very good introduction to the language and also the various opportunities available for people who know Japanese. First and foremost, what will be the reason to choose a foreign language? What is the purpose? There should be a specific purpose, right? So what is your purpose? That depends on which field you are in. The choice of language depends to a great extent on the field you are in. For example, if you choose French, then your career should be something relating to fashion or food. Then it makes a lot of sense selecting French, choosing French. If you are into engineering, robotics, like that, then it makes sense if you choose German or Japanese, a language like that. If you are into the leather industry, it will make sense if you choose Italian. But what is the connection between these languages? That is French, German, Italian, Portuguese, Spanish, all these languages have something in common. What is in common? If you look at the script, you will find that all these languages share the same script. It's English. It's very familiar to us. So what we think is the first impression we get is, okay, the script is very familiar to me. Maybe here and there I see a few accent marks. Maybe that I have to learn, but it's okay. It's only a few accent marks. I can easily learn it. So this language is going to be easy. No. See, you have 2 ears. I have 2 ears. You have 2 eyes. I have also 2 eyes. That doesn't mean you and I are the same. We are totally different people. We share common aspects, but that doesn't mean we are the same. Now, if you look at Japanese, there is a totally different appearance. What you see is totally different. You see some pictorial script and you see something which looks like alphabets, but it's something totally new to me. I have never seen anything like this. Okay, but does it mean it's going to be difficult in any way? Just because the script is different, it looks different, it doesn't mean the language is difficult or challenging. Of course, learning a new script will take a little time. You have to get accustomed, familiarized with the language. That definitely takes time. And a script is an important part of the language, so you cannot learn the language without the script. Of course, if you only want to speak, it's okay. But if you want to learn the language as a whole, it's always good to learn the script. And using a dictionary, you can learn more and more words, and it's going to improve your vocabulary. You will be able to, very soon, you will be able to be conversing in the language. So, Walter-san, can I request you to put the slides on? So
Yes, yes, ma'am.
the second slide.
Yes, is it visible?
No.
1 minute.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Is it visible?
Yeah, now it's visible. I want the second slide.
Yes.
The third, not the second, third. Yeah. So now everybody can see the slide. Hope everybody can see that. If you compare the first two with the third one, you will see a big difference. The first one is French, second is German, They share the same script as English, but the third one is completely different. You see a lot of alphabets, and here and there you also see something. It's a pictorial script called kanji. And the alphabets again fall into two sets. One is called hiragana, which is very smooth and curvy. And the second one is called katakana, which is quite angular. So, Walter-san, can I request for the next slide? Yeah. This is the Chinese script from which Japanese has derived the characters. Initially, even Japan was using only Chinese script, but later, when it developed into its own language system, they borrowed the script from Chinese and developed it into a language which could communicate with the outer world. Yeah, next slide, please. Next one. Yeah. Now, if you compare these two pictures, on the left, you see the word, not even a word, you see the letters P-A-P-E-L. But does it give you an idea? They are not arranged in proper sequence. It's just a set of letters, but they have been arranged in an improper sequence, but still it gives you an idea. It is the word apple. Now, the letters, individual letters have their own sounds. One is P, one is A, one is E, one is L. They have their own individual sounds. But when they are put in a proper sequence, sometimes the same letter may be even used 3 or 4 times within the same word. But if they are put in the proper sequence, then this word becomes A-P-P-L-E, which is a proper word apple with a proper meaning. Any other combination of these letters will be meaningless. So the function of alphabets is to come together. Their individual sounds, they come together, create a word which has a spelling and a meaning. Now this much about the alphabet, the role of the alphabet. But now if we come to the picture on the right side, I don't have to write any word. I just have to show the picture of an apple. You will get much more information than if I give you just the word. For example, if I show the picture of an apple, you will understand, okay, this is a fruit. See how much information you get. It's a fruit. It has a particular shape and it's available in different colors. It has a particular taste and inside there are seeds. So much of information. I didn't say any of this. I just showed you the picture of an apple. But immediately it brings a lot of information to your mind, right? It may even be your favorite fruit. So you have a liking for the fruit. So naturally it attracts, the picture attracts you. The next slide, please, Walter-san. Yeah. This actually shows the 3 different scripts of Japanese. On the left, it's the kanji, which is the pictorial script. On the right, we have the 2 alphabets. The first one is hiragana, which you can see it is smooth and curvy. The second one is katakana, which is quite angular compared to hiragana. Now, hiragana, why do we need 2 alphabets? Hiragana is used only for Japanese words. And katakana is used for loan words. What do you mean by loan words? Words which have been borrowed from other languages. For example, from English they have borrowed words like camera, computer, tape recorder, all typewriter, all these words. But the way they
Ma'am? Uma ma'am? You are not audible, ma'am. Uma ma'am, you are not audible. Uma ma'am, I kindly request you to check your audio. Uma ma'am? Ma'am, you are not audible at the moment. Uma ma'am, you are not audible. Yes? Can you just please check your audio? It's still not audible, ma'am. Ma'am, can you just pause a while and Uma ma'am, if you can you just leave the meeting room and join again? Then it will be fine. I kindly request the participants to disable their videos. Please disable your videos.
Walter sir, can you hear me now?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay.
I will just start the presentation.
Yeah.
Is it visible, ma'am?
Yeah. It's visible.
Okay.
Okay. So, katakana is actually used for the loan words which have been borrowed from other languages. So, as a few examples I gave you, camera is pronounced as camera, Australia is pronounced as Australia, and you also have some words from other languages like German. For example, you have Arbeit in German. They pronounce it as Arbeito. Now, in katakana, if we have the same sounds in hiragana and katakana, why do we need two different sets of alphabets? One is enough, right? The need for two sets of alphabets is, in Japanese, the sound L doesn't exist. The sound V, which we have in almost all the languages, doesn't exist in Japanese. So what happens is, the other languages, the borrowed words, which have L and V, cannot be written in Japanese. So we have to find a system where we can express even these letters L and V in Japanese, which is existent in all the other languages. For that, we need to use the katakana script, and it has to be modified to create these sounds. Could I have the next slide, Walter-san? The one before. Okay. Now, coming to kanji. People think, okay, this looks like a picture. It doesn't even look like an alphabet to me. So it should be very difficult to read. Let me just give you a small exercise, very simple exercise. If you look at the first kanji, if it stays alone, if there is no other kanji combination, if it's all alone, it's read as soto. But if it is in combination with other kanjis, the reading changes to gai. Take the next kanji. If it's single, you read it as kuni. If it's in combination, you read it as koku. So, in the third one, you have a combination of these two kanjis. How do you think you will read the combination? Remember, both of them are in combination. Can anyone try? Yes, it's gai koku. Because the moment they come in combination, the first one becomes gai, second one becomes koku. So, what we understand is, individually they have their readings, and once they come into combination, they take their combination readings. So, this is one very interesting aspect of kanjis. So, the moment they come into a combination, they lose their individual readings, they take the combination reading and create a new word which has a totally different meaning. For example, the word soto means outside. The word uni means country. So, the combination means outside country, which is a foreign country. And the word is gaikoko. That's it. So, it's easy. It's not challenging. It's not difficult. It is easy. So, now imagine after the webinar, you go somewhere, you happen to see these characters, immediately something will tell you, okay, I have seen this character, I know this reading. It's Soto and Gai. It's Kuni and Koku. And I can even read them together. It is Gai Koku. So, it establishes a connection with you immediately. That's how you have to learn kanji. Don't see them as complex characters or very difficult things to learn. And once you establish a connection with them, they are very interesting. They have their own structure, they have a shape, they have a sound, they have a meaning. They are so interesting. Yeah. Could I have the next slide, please, Walter-san? Yeah. If you look at these two, these are examples of words in hiragana and katakana. On the left, you see some words. I have chosen some very colorful words for you. They are the different seasons: haru, natsu, aki, and fuyu. On the right, you see two different words. They are both written in katakana. The first one, if you see the picture, immediately you'll guess it's a television. So the word is the television. I told you sometimes they cut half of the word. The shun part is cut off. They use only the word televi. Now, as I told you, Japanese does not have the sound L. So what happens is the L in televi gets converted to R. So it becomes terevi. Then I also told you Japanese does not have the sound V. So the televi, the V in televi becomes B. It gets converted to B. So it becomes on the whole not televi, it's terebi. Similarly, beer is the same word, beer, but they pronounce it as beer. Beer. Yeah. Next slide, please. Now again, we have a small riddle for you in katakana. L becomes R and V becomes B. This I have already told you. Can you guess what the English word is for the Japanese word barudu? Keep the changes in mind and tell me. Let me have the guesses. What could it be? Which English word could it be? L becomes R and V becomes B. Yes. So, many people will guess this as bulb. P-U-L-B. There is a big possibility. But it's not bulb. It's bulb. So, V has become B L has become R, again V has become B. So, Barudu is actually bal, not bulb, as many people would expect. But interestingly, many of you have given me bal. Okay, so that's interesting. So that's how it is. This is just to explain the nature of katakana. Next slide, please. Yeah. And now to tell you something about the connection between Japanese and Indian languages. In Indian languages, we have this vowel sounds A, E, U, A, and O. We have the short vowels. We also have the long vowels. So A, E, U, A, and O. Now this also exists in Japanese, but these are the only vowels, and we only have the short vowels in Japanese. So how do I express the long vowel? That we learn. When we learn the language, we learn how to express the long vowel in Japanese when we have only the short vowels in hand. For example, in hiragana, if you want to have A, the short A, you have the first letter. It's also written there in the screen. The first letter on the left, the orange screen, it is A. Now, if I want to write A, then what I do is I double the A. That's it. The short A is what I have. So I need a long A. What do I do? Double the A. If you need a long E, double the E. And U, long U, it's double U. Like that, it goes. For A and O, the double version is very rarely used. There is a combination version which is very common. But that goes into the language. Let's not go there. What I wanted to tell you is we have only the short sound. So we make them long, doubling, or sometimes using a different combination, and then cut. So this gives us a way, a very simple way of even managing the long vowels. Yeah. Next slide, please. Yes. So I have told you about kanji. They have a structure, they have a meaning, and they have their own ways of combining and creating new words, which again have their own meaning. So kanjis and hiragana, katakana, it may all seem a lot to learn, but once we learn these, then we have a big demand in the market, because people who know Japanese have learned it for a longer time, because the script itself takes some time to learn. But once you cross that bottleneck, don't think the script takes too much of my time, so why should I even put an effort into learning this? It's not like that. Comparing to people who know French or other European languages, people who know Japanese are very less. So, which means the opportunities are more, and the demand for a person who is fluent, who knows Japanese, is definitely more. And once you learn the language, the opportunities in Japan or even other countries or in your own home country, it is definitely a large market, large demand. So please take an interest in the language. And once we come to the other slides, we'll also see what are all the opportunities existing for people who learn the Japanese language. Yeah, the next slide, please. Yeah, this is just to show you give you an idea of the Japanese certification. The exam happens twice a year, once in July and once in December. There was an old system where there were only 4 levels of proficiency, starting from L4 to L1. And now the system has added one more level, intermediate level. So it starts with N5 and goes to N1. There are 5 levels of Japanese for foreign learners. And to take any job in Japan or to acquire a good enough proficiency to take up a job, you have to clear at least the first 3 levels, which will give you a very good command over the language, and you can easily take up the job. And one more thing I want to tell you about the exam is that they do not test your spoken or written skills. They test only your listening and reading skills. But that does not mean spoken and written are not important. When you are learning a language, all the 4 skills are important. learn all the 4 skills, but use only 2 of them for the exam. Because when you get a job, you join a company, they'll definitely expect all the 4 skills with you. You cannot say, okay, I'll be able to listen to what you say, but I will not speak a word. I can read all your mails or whatever content you give me, but I cannot write a single word. That will not work. You need to learn all the 4 skills. And I think in French and other languages, they test all the 4 skills. Am I right, Walter sir?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
They do test all the 4 skills, but in Japanese, I don't know, maybe for some reason, they're testing only 2 of the skills, but that does not mean the other 2 are less important. So we have to learn all the 4, but if you learn, then you definitely have a lot to gain. Next skill, please. Next slide. Yeah, next slide. This is just to create a break. Okay, now coming to the culture part. Whenever you learn a language, it's not just the language you learn, it's also the culture. We learn a lot about the culture. Even when we watch films in those languages, we see how they behave, how they talk, and here and there you may also be able to catch a few phrases, few expressions, which immediately gives you a good feeling. Oh my God, I'm able to understand what they say. Sometimes you don't even depend on the subtitles, right? So let us just list a few. I have listed a few things which you definitely will learn about the Japanese people. They follow their discipline. They are very disciplined. They are trained in their disciplines right from childhood, which plays a very important role in their later lives. Punctuality, they attach a lot of importance to time, and it's very, very important for them. And they expect the same from us, but for us, we take it a little easy, but they definitely take it serious. And manners, definitely, you know how important manners and etiquette are for them. And they have a host of expressions to express your the what do you say, the formal expressions for various occasions, various situations. The way you talk to your friend is different, the way you talk to your colleagues is different, the way you talk to your boss is different. Everything goes with manners and etiquette. And if you have a good sense of that, then definitely your life is going to be very easy. And for the aesthetic sense, I would tell you, you have seen their fans, you have seen the way they dress, and you have seen the way they even pack things. When they wrap, if you go to a shop, the way they pack the thing for you, it's so beautiful. You won't feel like touching the design. It's so beautiful, so aesthetically done. And honesty, I can just give you a very simple example. If you forget your umbrella or your bag or something in the bus or train, they do only 2 things. One, they either don't touch it because it doesn't belong to them, or if at all they touch them, it's only for one reason, to hand it over to the lost and found section so that you can report to them and claim your lost thing. That's it. So that is one example I can give you for honesty. And coming to social responsibility, yes, given the current coronavirus situation, now we are slowly getting used to wearing masks. But for them, wearing masks has been a very practice, long-term practice, because the moment they catch a cold or a flu or something, immediately they wear a mask, not to protect themselves, but to protect others from catching the infection. So this is one very relevant example I can give you. And wherever they go, they don't throw their trash everywhere. They have their own trash cans, and they consider it a social responsibility. Okay, this is my country. I have to make it clean. I have to maintain it clean. I am a social responsible person. So these are some things I wanted to tell you about what they follow. And definitely, if you go to Japan, maybe stay there for for a couple of weeks, definitely you will come back as a very different person. You would have taken at least a few of these qualities from there. Next slide. Yeah, when it comes to education in Japan, N5 experience and certification is something which is the basic requirement, because most of the courses are being offered in English medium. It's not like the earlier case. Many of the courses are offered in English medium. But this N5 experience, you don't even need a certification, but at least an N5 experience is good. Not required, not mandatory, but good, because survival. You will find life a lot easier if you are able to communicate at least at a basic level in Japanese. And then they offer a lot of scholarships for you. Sometimes it is partial, sometimes it is 100%. Most of the universities offer scholarships, so you can choose your course, you can choose your scholarship pattern, everything. And then Japanese medium is also there, English medium is also there, so you can choose your university and the course accordingly. And higher studies also, once you clear your UG, you can go for your higher studies. They have a lot of courses available. And research, if you are interested in research also, there are a lot of universities which offer very good research opportunities. And next slide, please. What is that?
Yes, ma'am. 1 minute.
Yeah. Yeah. So when it comes to going for a job, once it comes to going for a job, as I told you, N3 certification at least is required. This is not only for your survival, it's also for your job communication and interacting with other company people and all that. Definitely you will be receiving a lot of mails, so you will have to reply in Japanese. So this is very important for your placement. And placement also, they offer, many universities have a placement cell. They offer a lot of placement opportunities. And depending on your line of interest, you can choose your job. And placement in home country, this is for people who are not very much into continuing working in Japan. Maybe for a short term, you might consider working in Japan as a part-time or full-time. And after that, you may prefer coming back to your home country. But even when you come back to your home country, you still have a lot of opportunity, because now your Japanese skills would have improved a lot. Your stay in Japan, whether it's for higher studies or job or even a part-time job, your exposure to the language, your experience, your work experience, it would definitely have improved your skills. So with the improved skills, if you come back to your home country, you stand a better chance. You definitely have a lot of opportunities in the Japanese companies in your own country. So you have a lot of opportunity even in home country. Yeah, next slide please. Yeah, these are some of the, suppose you don't want to work in a company, you can work as a freelancer. Freelancers also have a lot of opportunities. I know the language, I can talk, I can write, I can read, I can also communicate very well. So what kind of jobs do I have? So you can go as a tourist guide. If you just want to use simple language, you're not very good at technical jargon and all that. Okay, use your simple language to communicate. You can really be a good help to the tourist people who come there. They are very much interested in India. So you can definitely opt for a career as a tourist guide. It's very lucrative. And if you can read and write very well, you can speak very well, you have opportunities in translation, interpretation. Definitely, you can work as a freelancer, translator or interpreter. Definitely, that's also a very good lucrative opportunity. And you are in demand. If your skills are really good, if you develop good experience, you are in demand all the time. The whole month you can work. And being a freelancer, if you want to work for the whole month, you can work. If you want to take a little break also, it's fine. Nobody is going to ask you to sit and work. So that's kind of a freedom, that kind of a flexibility is offered to a freelancer. And if you are not interested in being a tourist guide, you don't want to do translation, you don't want to do interpretation, you still have something to do. You can teach. Whatever you have learned, whatever you have acquired after your stay or study, you can teach, you can share that with other people. So by teaching, again, you get a lot of experience, you practice your language better. See, there is a lot of difference between a teacher and a learner. A learner can have the opportunity to skip a class. Oh my God, I was not able to attend class today. Sorry, ma'am, this is possible. But a teacher can never say that. Sorry, students, I am bunking class today. You cannot say that. So it's a responsibility now. And whenever you have a group of students, you can expect a lot of questions from them. So you should be good enough in the language to be able to answer all the questions. You don't know which student will come up with which question. It may not be always be the same questions coming up again and again. So the moment a new question comes up, you may not be prepared for that. So that should not put you like it should not make you disappointed, feel disappointed. Of course, everybody doesn't know everything, right? So you can always appreciate the student, go back, get the answer, and come back to the class. So teaching also is a good responsibility. It makes you learn better. The students, the questions the students ask set you learning. So you again think on other lines, think from other angles, and that improves your own learning. Next slide, please. Yes, and these are other options because I have come across many students who are interested in anime, manga, Japanese drama. They watch a lot of Japanese movies, they read a lot of manga, and they watch a lot of animated movies also. They are very interested. But this itself creates an interest in the Japanese language for them. And if you compare the performance of a student who has no exposure to anime, manga, or drama, and a student who has exposure to these, they may have watched it only in English, but still, the performance level is completely different. So, what actually motivates them to learn the language is if I can watch this in English, if I learn the language, I can watch this in Japanese. I'll be able to understand what they say. Why should I depend on a subtitle? Why should I read the English translation of a manga? I can read it in Japanese. Why should I watch a Japanese movie with subtitles? I can watch it in Japanese itself, I can understand. So, that kind of an interest brings them to learn Japanese and they really perform very well. And here again, you have job opportunities. The subtitling or voicing is a job opportunity for anime or drama. And manga, you have translation opportunities. There may be an original in Japanese, you can translate that. You can also do, if you're good at artistic work, you can also do illustration. Many of my students are very good at illustration. So, that is what brings them into the Japanese language. Yeah, next slide, please. Yeah, so I think I have given you a fairly comprehensive idea about the language, the script, and the various opportunities available both for regular employees as well as freelancers. So I would really like to have your questions and I hope I'll be able to answer them to your satisfaction. Thank you so much for the opportunity, Walter-san.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. I request the
Thank you,
participants if they want to ask any questions to our expert, you can please unmute your mic individually and ask the questions.
ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much. I really expect your questions.
Good afternoon,
Any
ma'am.
question?
Just now,
Fine. Yes.
ma'am. Just now, here to Kirakana. Thank you, ma'am. You'll be okay. Thank you, ma'am.
Ma'am, I have two questions.
Yeah.
Yes. So, how Japanese will help in career growth for people who work in sales?
Okay, that depends on your customers.
Okay.
For example, you are doing sales for people who are interested in your products, and if it happens to be a Japanese customer, definitely Japanese will help you. You need not be very fluent in Japanese, but even if you are able to greet the customer and say something very simple in Japanese, it still creates a very good feeling and the customer will be very interested in your product. He'll definitely give his time, listen to you and be more interested in your product. And the way you behave yourself, the way you greet, I told you etiquette and manners are very important. especially when you have a Japanese customer. If you learn a little bit about the etiquette and practice that during your meetings with the customer, it's definitely going to help.
Okay. And next question is, okay, during introduction, you were quoting that people who have interest on food and fashion industry can choose French.
Yes.
Likewise, engineering and robotics can choose German.
Yes.
So likewise, okay, Japanese means which industry or so just I want to know which industry has more focus on Japanese.
Okay. See, Japanese has a wide application. Okay.
Okay.
First thing is you have automobile industry.
Okay.
You have the textile industry.
Okay.
You have agriculture, pharma, robotics, engineering, IT. These are only a few.
Okay.
Apart from this, whatever I told you, translation is there, interpretation, teaching, and freelance opportunities, everything is there.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you, ma'am. I'm a good with this. Thank you.
Hello, thank you so much for your webinar, ma'am.
Thank you.
And I just wanna know that if I can do Japanese, how long it takes to do, ma'am?
See, I told you there are 5 levels, right?
Okay.
So, and the exams happen only twice a year in July and December.
Okay.
So, how much time do I need to learn Japanese? It depends completely on the individual.
Okay.
See, for example, a person is very interested in learning the language. I'm not talking about Japanese alone. In general, the person is very interested and shows a lot of dedication, attends to the classes regularly, and does the homework. Definitely,
Okay.
you will be able to clear the first level within 3 months. You can learn everything in the first level, means N5. I'm talking about N5, which is the beginner's level. Okay, so N5 you can easily learn everything within 3 months, and definitely if you're going to start learning in January, you have the exam only in July, right? So you have 6 months. So 3 months or
Okay,
4
ma'am.
months maximum, you can finish everything, and still you have 2 months to practice for the exam.
Okay. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Yes. So it only depends on your interest and how much time you can devote to learn the language.
Okay. Thank you so much for your webinar, ma'am.
Hope I've answered your question.
Yeah, ma'am.
Yes.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Yeah, I'm Dr. Aishwarya.
Yes, ma'am.
Hello. Yeah, can you hear me, ma'am? It was really wonderful listening to you. You're so sweet, and it was really an eye opener. And I wanted to know what are the centers we have to these languages in Coimbatore? Do you have any Coimbatore?
Actually, what I would suggest is, right now we are in a lockdown period. Okay.
Yes.
So we have all got used to doing things online. What I do,
yes.
I just share my experience. I believe in individual learning. See, for example, I have a small group, even if it's a very small group of 2 or 3 people, if I teach them together, they are 3 individuals, each from a different background, each with a different grasping capacity, each with a different line of interest. So, how do I teach these 3 different people if I make them sit together in one group? So, I believe in individual learning, but I can give you full attention and you can learn at your own pace, your own interest. So, we can definitely do it online. Doesn't matter whether you're based in Coimbatore, whichever part of the world, I can always do it for you. And my timings are totally flexible. I'm available 24/7. It will be very difficult, but I do that. I'm actually doing it. My classes go on even till midnight or even past midnight. Yes.
Please share the link of how we can,
Sure, ma'am. Because we normally have all the classes on Google Hangout.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just like a video call. You just come online, we'll have a
Okay.
video chat.
Okay, ma'am.
The classes just happen
Okay.
like that. That's it.
Okay, ma'am. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot.
Hello, ma'am.
Hello?
Ma'am, can I have this link of this recorded session, ma'am?
I think Walter Sam will
Yes,
be
we will be posting it in our YouTube channel, and we will be sharing the link with you, with all the participants.
Okay, okay, sir. Thank you so much.
Welcome.
Thank you, sir.
Hello, ma'am.
Hello?
Ma'am, I am Ramandeep. I am a foreign language teacher. I am a French teacher, but I want to know about Japanese also. If we talk about teaching field, how many schools are there in our country where we can join as a Japanese teacher also? Either universities or colleges.
Okay, see, normally a few reputed universities offer BA and MA in Japanese. For example,
Okay.
JNU offers the courses. Many
Okay.
people, actually, JNU offers Japanese, Chinese, and Korean. All the main Asian languages they offer. Indonesian is also offered. So JNU
Okay.
has all these language courses as degree courses.
Okay.
And people who learn it at JNU, they can also take the certification exam. So it does not matter whether you study at a university or you are a private candidate. Anyway, you can take
Okay.
your exams. That doesn't matter.
Okay.
You doesn't
Thank you.
have to join a university or an institute. You can even do it as a private learning and take the exam.
Sure, ma'am.
Yes.
Thank you.
Good afternoon,
Hello,
madam.
Good afternoon. Hello.
Well, I'm right now learning hiragana, and I guess I almost finished hiragana. Can you hear me?
Thank you. Yeah, I can hear you. Yes. Hello?
I guess I almost finished hiragana alphabet. And what can I do after learning hiragana alphabet?
Have you learned katakana?
No, not katakana, just hiragana for now.
Only hiragana. Okay. The thing is, hiragana is
Yeah.
only part of the script. Okay?
Yeah, fine.
Hiragana is only part of the script. So with hiragana alone, you will not be able to read Japanese because any given, even a small paragraph will contain all the three scripts together. It will be a combination of hiragana, katakana, and kanji.
Yeah, fine, got it.
Okay. See, I'll give you a
Yeah.
very simple example. You want to make roti. What all do you need to make roti? You need atta, you need salt, you need oil and water. Only then you can prepare the batter for the roti, right? You can roll it into a ball and make rotis. So if you say, I have only atta, but I want to make roti, how do you make rotis? Not possible, right?
Yeah, I got it. Actually, I'm a self learner, so I just wanted to know how to
That's what I'm
do
saying.
it.
That's what I'm saying. So I'm also a self-learner for that matter. Right from my childhood, I've been doing only self-study. I've not gone to any institute. Okay? So I really understand. I really appreciate your doing self-study. But don't do it part. Do it in part. Do the whole. Okay? Don't learn part of it and just keep wondering what do I do with this. It's not the whole. You have done a part. Also try to learn the katakana and kanji. I can help you on that. You can always get in touch. I'll be very happy to
Yeah.
help you.
Thanks. And what can I do after learning the kanji, hiragana, and katakana, three of the
That's what
alphabets?
I told you. After you learn or you have done a couple of levels, you decide what you want to do. We have given you a lot of career options, right? So you can decide, okay, what am I going to do with this? Do I want to become a trainer or do some translation, or I just want to be doing normal communication? So I can even help people communicate. You can do a tourist guide. You can be a tourist guide. Lot of
No, not
opportunities
like
are there.
No, not like that, ma'am. Actually, it's like I'm asking for a progress. Like after reading the alphabets, should I have to learn the words and the grammar or like
Of
something?
course, yes. It's like, see, that way Japanese is not any different from other languages. The moment you learn the script, it doesn't end there. You have to learn words. Words in the sense you have nouns, you have verbs, you have adjectives. All this exists in all the languages. So learn all this and then try to make sentences and try to make paragraphs. For example, somebody asks you to say a few words about your family. You'll be able to do. Say something, at least 4-5 lines about your family or about your hobby, about your close friend, about the places you visited. These are all very simple topics you can talk about. So, once you learn the script, hello?
Yeah,
Once you
got it,
learn the
ma'am.
script,
Thank
go
you
to
so
the
much.
next step. Learn all the words and learn some words which will help you communicate better. Learn it, learn how to frame a sentence, how to ask questions, how to answer questions. All these things, it's a skill you have to develop.
Yeah, thank you so much, ma'am.
Yeah?
Also, it will be kind if you mention some of the online websites or online courses.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Hello, ma'am.
Hello?
Hello, ma'am.
Hello?
Is the Japanese and Korea is intellective?
Japanese and Korean are connected?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that your question? Are they interconnected? Yes?
Yes.
Yeah.
Similar or
I would say they are in a way connected, but not interconnected. They are both having their roots in Chinese. It will be interesting. Chinese, actually, the traditional characters of Chinese have been borrowed by Japanese. And Korean now has a alphabet system. Actually, they have shifted over to an alphabet system. It's called the Hangul alphabet. Now, what they have done is all the Hangul alphabet, it looks very simple. It's a very geometrical thing with only circles and lines in beautiful combinations. It doesn't even look like an alphabet. It looks like a very geometrical pattern. It's a beautiful alphabet developed by King Sejong. And the thing is, these Hangul alphabet, it has roots in Chinese.
Okay, ma'am. Okay, ma'am.
It looks much simpler now, but the roots are in Chinese. Japanese and Korean have a common root in China.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay.
Hasan, there is a question here in the chat session. Is there racial discrimination in Japan?
It's a very sensitive question. Actually, if you ask me, see, for example, I go to a place. Okay, I don't want to mention any particular place. I'm telling my friends I'm going to this place. Okay, so immediately my friend says, "Oh my God, that's a dangerous place. Why do you even think of going there?" But what I have read and what I have heard and what, the extent to which I have interacted with people from those places, it has been a very positive experience for me. And even after I go to this place, I have never experienced anything bad. I have not met any bad person, or I didn't have any bad experience. So if you ask me after I come back from that place, my expression will be very positive. No, it's not a place like that. You can safely go there, no problem. You please go there. But be careful, of course. Any place is no heaven, right? No place is heaven. So wherever you go, there are challenges, there are difficulties, there are bad experiences. But it always depends on where you go, how careful you are about yourself and the people you meet and all that. You will be safe wherever you go. You take the necessary precautions. You will be safe. Right. So I would not say there is, of course, I won't say there is no racial discrimination and all that, but look at the good part of it. They are very nice people. They go out of their way to help you. and they are very well organized. You also get to learn a lot from them, observing them. So I would not look at the racial discrimination part. If at all it exists somewhere, definitely we are not going to such places, right? So we'll make sure we are with the right people and at the right places. So if we take good precautions, I think it should be good. Yes.
Are there any more questions?
Hello.
Hello.
Ma'am, am I audible to you?
Yes.
Ma'am, this is Vadivel Sampath. I'm from Chennai. Please clarify one more question.
Yeah.
How about the teaching opportunities for English in Japan?
Yes, that's a very good question, because English, as far as Japanese are concerned, there are two types of English, UK and American. They have a preference for American English. What they do is, Americans who have settled in Japan for some reason, they approach them. They have a lot of demand in Japan for teaching English. And as far as English teaching is concerned, they expect you to have some kind of certification like TOEFL. But in Japan, the preferred certification is TOEIC, TOEIC. They have this certification called TOEIC, and people who are learning English for business purposes or any academic purposes, they prefer the TOEIC exam, not the TOEFL.
Okay,
So
ma'am.
if you can teach them, if you have your certification, definitely you stand a good opportunity. Yes, that is another one.
Okay, ma'am.
Good afternoon, ma'am. Good afternoon, ma'am.
Yes. Yeah, good afternoon.
Yeah, ma'am, I'm on SRM University Mathematics department, ma'am.
Yeah.
Now, what is the difference between mathematics to English and to mathematics to Japanese, ma'am?
I didn't get you. Mathematics?
Yeah. Mathematics to English and mathematics to Japanese, ma'am. What is the difference between?
Mathematics by itself is a subject.
Yes, you, ma'am.
And one more thing is, see, mathematics as a subject, the medium of instruction could be Japanese or English. But mathematics does not change according to Japanese or English, right? Because it's a subject by itself. With the medium of
What the same, ma'am?
But one thing I would like to tell you, because you asked about mathematics, see, they use this system of counting called the abacus.
Okay, ma'am.
Abacus is called soroban in Japanese. The soroban system is still being used there. Count. So using the soroban, they are able to use even very complex mathematical calculations. They still use it. It's not obsolete. They still use it, and the students in school are still trained to use the soroban.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Yes.
Yes, we have just a minute or so left. If there are any questions, we can pose them now, or we can go to the vote of thanks.
Hello.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Since there are 2 more minutes left now, can I ask one more question if you don't mind?
Yeah, please.
Yes, please.
Ma'am, actually, no, I'm a TEFL certified English trainer. The thing is, like, randomly, I've observed the even Asian countries and even the other native speaking countries also. So what I personally found is that when they when we apply for the teaching, especially teaching English.
Okay.
So I find actually they reject applications based on I think the cultural background, I suppose, because I had some experiences. They've openly said, like, we value certificates only from the native speakers, like that. So especially being non-native speakers, so I think this is going to be a tough thing to get into Japan and get teaching position, I suppose. How do you see that?
Okay, see, when we apply for a particular thing, they have certain restrictions, but that depends totally on them, because we don't know, they don't really, actually very recently one of my students applied for higher studies in Japan. Everything, he got all the certification of eligibility, everything, the whole process was complete. He went for the interview, it lasted only 2 minutes, but they accepted his application, and we tried to understand why they rejected the application, what is the reason, because as we even asked him out of the interview, we asked him what was the problem. They said, immediately told him, no, sorry, we cannot accept your application. But we tried various ways of trying to understand what was the reason for rejection of his application. We even went to the extent of requesting the school which offered admission to him to write a letter in Japanese, formal Japanese to general, but the reason was not given. So there might have been some special reason for that rejection. But I don't think they will reject anybody because they are from another country. That will be the reason. The reason should be there.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon.
I will ask one more question. Instead of JLPT, the NAT exam is okay for qualifying for Japanese level?
Yeah, NAT exam is a very recent one. It has been introduced, and I think
Because it's conducting six times per year, I think.
Yeah. The frequency is higher. Every 2 months you have an exam, and I think they are testing the listening and written skills as well. Do they test the other 2 skills?
What, ma'am?
Do they test the other 2 skills in NAT exam? Do you know about that?
It is similar like JLPT only, no?
Yeah, it's similar to JLPT.
But
do they test the written and spoken skills in the NAT exam? Do you know about that?
Yeah. Actually, I completed Japanese level 3 in 2009.
Okay, which
instead of 4 levels.
JLPT or NAT?
JLPT.
JLPT, okay.
Now I completed February 2020 N4. So if I proceed into N3 like NAT, if I getting qualified to training or some other getting job in Japanese.
Yeah, 2 things I would like to tell you about the NAT exam. See, NAT exam has more frequency compared to JLPT.
Okay.
But another thing is, not all companies will accept a NAT certification. There are only very few companies which accept it. JLPT is accepted worldwide. All companies accept it as a certification. But NAT exam, 2 ways you can use it is, if you are looking for a company which accepts the NAT certification, it's fine. Another thing is, you can use NAT exam as a practice for your JLPT. If you are trying for other companies which don't accept the NAT certification, you can definitely, because of the higher frequency, you can use NAT to evaluate yourself for the JLPT. So if you finish your NAT exam in maybe February or April, then you will be well prepared for July exam JLPT. So that is I have also seen students doing that. But NAT exam is higher than JLPT, but they don't mind because they want to clear the JLPT and get a better certificate, which is accepted.
If we may move to the closure of the session.
Yeah, was there any questions from?
If there are any questions in the chat, we would be pleased to send them to our expert, and she will record and send the responses.
Sure.
Thank you all so much. I take this opportunity to thank the Almighty for keeping us safe during this time, especially with this COVID-19 situation. I thank a very special thanks to the resource person, our Japanese language expert, Mr. Uma Balu. Thank you so much, ma'am, for accepting.
Thank you so much, Walter. I should thank you for this experience.
Very, very valuable work. I also thank head of the department, Dr. Rama, ma'am, for supporting us. Your support and your patience knows no bounds, and it is only because of your constant support and help that we were able to organize such a program. A very special thanks to the organizing team, for the foreign language staff, and all the other members of the faculty of the Department of Foreign Languages, SRM Institute of Science and Technology, Ramapuram campus. And I would also like to thank all the participants who were willing to join us and make the session, this online lecture, success. I hope that we will take up all your suggestions. We will definitely answer your questions, your queries. We will. I will make sure that we will post them to the expert, and we will definitely get back to you on this. Thank you all so much for your support and for your participation. Thank you, one and all. Rama ma'am, if you have any words, you can.
Thank you, Walter. Thank you so much, Uma ma'am. It was extremely informative. The thing is, we all have very little clue about Japanese. You gave us a very good idea. And my very, very, very special thanks to Walter, Preeta, the French faculty, Bharati, Geetanjali, both of them the German faculty, and most of all Nivedita, who arranged the resource person for us. She's our Japanese faculty. So I thank all of them immensely. They have been working very hard towards making this program a very great success. So I thank all of you, and I thank Uma ma'am again. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ma'am. And I'm especially happy because there were no power cuts. There was no break in communication. It went on so smooth, and I was able to hear everyone so well. And there were very interesting questions. Yeah, I was actually very apprehensive about all of a sudden there should not be. And even in between, when that small break came, I was a little worried because you were not able to hear me. Then there's no point, right? So I was a little bit worried, but fortunately everything went very fine. The questions were all so interesting, and I really enjoyed every bit of the session, ma'am. Let us be in touch and definitely encourage everyone to learn Japanese. And I will always be so happy to be with you, ma'am. Thank you so much, Walter-san. Thank you really so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you.
I think we have to thank all the attendees also, because they cooperated. They cooperated a lot with us by remaining quiet throughout the session and choosing to ask questions only during the Q&A session. So thank you to all the attendees also.
Yeah.
Thank you.
The questions were also not repetitive.
Exactly.
They were also
Arigato
would have benefited the whole group, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, Walter. Probably
we can end the session, ma'am.
Yeah. Sure.
Yes, we can all leave the session as and when you please.